So now we're going to be talking about Maruti Suzuki's Ignis. What is it? What should you expect from it? And we've got lots of details on it here. We got a close look at it recently at a small preview of the India spec car before it gets launched. And as you know, it's going to get launched in January 2017 on the 13th. And so what should you expect from it? Well, first and foremost, I think it's very clear. It's a funky looking car and it really works in the flesh as well. It's very unconventional in the way it's designed, various bits about it that make it quite striking, but on the whole, I like it. I really do. It has a blend of being retro, but at the same time tough and cute. I mean, just look at the car, right? It looks all angry, but it's not all that big. So yeah, how big is it? In terms of overall length, it is about 3,700 millimeters, which isn't all that much. It's about 3 to 4 centimeters more than a Quid. And just for reference, the Swift is 3850 mm. So that's 150 mm longer, the Swift, right? So the Ignis isn't all that long. Of course, who is it meant for? It's meant for the next generation. Who's the next generation? The millennials. Who are the millennials? Anybody who's born after 1980. I'm not in that bracket by a long shot. It was a shocking revelation, but yes, not in the millennials I am, but a lot of people are. Apparently, India is going to be the youngest country by 2020. Already 41% of our population is under 21. So there's a huge market there and the Ignis is meant for them. That's why the funky cool design. And honestly, the one part that people might not like is from the rear three quarters. When you look at the C-pillar, it looks very chunky and a bit bulky. But I think there's a reason it's there and it's that way. It has a slightly high bum, and that's because if it didn't have that, it would seem very hatch-like. So they've given it that chunkiness at the rear, which makes it look taller as well and tougher. So I don't mind it. And they've done lots of cool things with the design, which connected to Suzuki's of the past and which help it make it feel a little bit cooler. For instance, on the C-pillar where that metal panel is really quite wide, it would look strange. But what they've done is they've gone and stamped 3 lines into it. In India, they're calling it the Suzuki Triad, but actually, Suzuki call it the slit. And it was first used on the Fronte Coupe, and that's way back then. So this just breaks up the mass there, makes it cooler. And there's lots of small touches like that throughout the car. If you look at the bonnet, it's a clamshell bonnet, and it's got this slight rubber strip on the side. That is from the first gen Vitara. And if you look at the headlamp, that angry look that it's got is because of the grille. It's a single frame grille, right? It runs all along the sides, and inside that sits the grille and the headlamp. So there's one frame that encapsulates everything, and it just looks very striking because of that. That is also from a Suzuki of the past. And the really cool part about the headlamps again, yes, you can see that the DRLs are all LEDs, but so are the headlamps. So this is a car in the compact car space, in the hatchback space, which is going to be offering full LED headlamps. That's really pretty cool, huh? And overall, coming back to the stance, I like it. It's a bit cheeky. You look at the wheel arches, they're bulging out a little bit on this small little car. And it just has that tough stance about it. What also helps it is the fact that it's got 15-inch wheels. That's standard. But along with that, of course, you'll get black alloys on the top end variant that we saw at the preview. And the tire size is about 175/60. So really nice, tough stance in that sense. And it's got ground clearance as well, 180 mm. Whereas the Swift, just for reference, because that's roughly the space this will be playing in, is at about 170 millimeters, right? So that's what you can expect from the Ignis in terms of size and how it feels. Funky, cool, unconventional, and in terms of size, not all that big, but definitely tough and very usable. Short overhangs as well, so if you're on rough roads, really bad roads, it should manage to do that crossover bit, crossing over into SUV territory quite well. Now, moving to the inside, completely new on the inside. One thing that you will love, new steering wheel, just looks more sophisticated, looks cooler, and there are lots of other things as well, like for instance, the dashboard, completely new. So when you look at it, nice clean design, has a slim front to it. It kind of is almost like like a clam opened up, but you can see the narrow side front and it widens up as it goes forward. So it kind of slides down away from you, very nice. And the top end version had contrast colors, black and white. Not a big fan of the white because, you know, it'll get dirty pretty quickly. But it looks nice. It looks techy because you look at the screen, it seems like it's just been stuck onto the dashboard, which is of course, your infotainment system, which has Apple CarPlay and, of course, Android Auto. Doubles up as your reversing camera and navigation system, all of that. 7-inch screen, of course. The techie bit that, again, is in terms of design and makes it work really nicely is, you look further down, there's nothing. There's no actual center console flowing down. There's a dash with a screen on it. You look further down and there's the air conditioning system. And it just kind of juts out over there, like it's sitting there all on its own. And the switches, they're like these flat kind of switches, sort of like toggle switches. You can slide, rocker switches actually. You can slide them up, down for the air conditioning controls. Really funky. And under that, of course, you've got the connector for the USB. And in between, you'll see that there are a lot of blank spaces for switches. What are those for? Well, that's because internationally, the Ignis is also offered with all-wheel drive and some more protection systems. So, for instance, lane departure warning, camera assist-based braking systems. Those aren't offered here. Neither is all-wheel drive for now. So, those switches are blanked out. Of course, that comes to the question that yes, all-wheel drive will not be offered in India, but we'll talk about the engines and all a little bit later. We'll continue with the cabin for now. So what else really works in the cabin? You've got these door handles, just like aluminium bars, and they can be color coded with the exterior of the car. So that's again a very nice touch, very practical in terms of the space as well, plenty around. And coming to space, passenger space. Again, really very impressive. If you look at the front seats, you have a lot of headroom. You get into the back, you'll be surprised. You still can get, this is a small car, right? Keep that in mind. You still can get tall people into this car with a fair amount of comfort, really a lot of legroom and headroom here. Of course, it's not all that wide, so sitting 3 abreast would be a little tight. We'd like to spend more time with it, but I think that's where it's at right now. So the driver's instrument cluster, all new again. You've got 2 analog dials and 1 digital display on the side, which has got a lot of information like the trip computer and all that. Nice and large, everything is very readable, so it's easy to use that way. So if you guys have any questions relating to all the stuff that we are talking about, yes, we're talking about a lot, so you can mention that down below. And something that we were talking about, space. Another thing that makes the Ignis a little bit more practical is the fact that the rear doors, when you open them out wide, you'll see they're almost out in 90 degrees. So getting in and out is very easy. And the boot is pretty healthy actually, about 260 or 67 liters. And of course, it's wide, it's a little bit deep, but it can pack in a decent amount of luggage. I think weekend trips, absolutely no issue with regards to that. So what remains? Engines, of course. So the Ignis is going to continue to use engines that we've seen in India, the 1.2 liter petrol, which has 84.3 PS of power, and the 1.3 liter diesel, which is 75 PS of power, of course. Now, whether there are any change to this, we've seen this engine most recently, I mean, these engines in the Baleno, what changes are there to these engines when they come to the Ignis, we don't know as of now. But what we do know is that the Ignis will come with an AMT, or rather AMT transmissions for both the engines. Yes, even on the diesel. So that's going to be a big plus. And don't think that Suzuki is being cheap and not offering us the CVT or something like that, because even in Europe, the Ignis is offered with an AMT, or the AGS, of course, as Suzuki calls it. So yeah, pretty interesting. Only thing we won't be getting is the all-wheel drive system. On the whole, really an exciting package. Any questions, anything more you'd like to know, please mention that in the comments below and we'll get back to you about that. Last and definitely not the least is the safety. There's going to be ABS and dual airbags on offer on the Ignis. And along with that, this is built on an all-new platform. Yes, it's lighter, but along with that, this platform is meant to comply with side impact protection. Let me get all of that right. It has been engineered so that it complies with pedestrian safety, side, rear, and offset crash regulations. So clearly, safety is taking a priority here from the word go. And so this, when the Indian tests happen, we'll come to know the results of that for the Ignis. So if you're interested in the Ignis, you can express your interest in it by booking it online from the first week of January 2017. Yes, that's where you can go and book it. But if you want to see it in the flesh for yourself, you can head to a Nexa showroom, not a Maruti Suzuki showroom, because the Ignis is going to be retailed through there. So the Ignis, it's seeming like really quite a strong package, and it is going to be priced quite aggressively. We expect it to be in the region of 4.2 to 4.5 lakh rupees for the starting price. And well, if you have any more questions about the Ignis, the stuff that you'd like to know more about, please mention that in the comments and we'll get back to you. Thanks so much for watching.